why do you procrastinate, and how do you stop procrastinating? There's a couple things we need to get straight. Success, achievement in any realm, endeavor, whatever, is basically things done. So a successful guy in a given niche or market or sport or whatever simply did the right things over a long enough period of time. And that time led to the skills he needed to develop to achieve the goals he needed to achieve, and he became the man worthy of that thing that he wanted. Achievement is not about talent, it's not about luck so much as we think it is. There's luck, but if you're not ready to pounce on the luck, if you haven't developed the skills and done the things necessary to use that luck, it's useless. So achievement is essentially things done. 1, you make the right decisions. 2, you do the right things over a long enough period of time. The thing is, you have to do the things, and the things aren't typically magical. It's grunt work, it's doing the tasks that you know you have to do over a long enough period of time, and you end up achieving the result. Life works like compound interest. Compound interest, you invest something and over years it multiplies, and you have a large sum of money in that investment. They seem like small gains in the moment, but over a long enough period of time, over a long enough time horizon, those gains become astronomical and massive. So achievement is the same thing. The things you're doing don't seem massive in the moment. They don't seem grand or audacious or whatever. They seem small, but if you do them over a long enough period of time, you end up with outsized returns. So that's what achievement is. So why aren't you doing those things? There's a few reasons. 1 is a lack of self-belief. So I struggle with this and I'm working on improving this, but while it can exist and while it can prevent you from doing the things that you know you should do, it's not an excuse not to do them. So a lack of belief in yourself that you can do the thing that you're trying to do essentially stops you from doing that thing because it belittles the importance of that task. So if you're obese, you've been obese your entire life, and you think it's genetics, you think this is just the way you are, you might eat healthy for a short period of time, but then over time you're gonna think that these little habits that you're trying to create won't actually get you the thing that you want to get, and you'll revert back to your typical way of living. It's a lack of belief that essentially stopped you from doing the thing that you should do or made you push it off, and eventually you die of a heart attack because you've eaten yourself to death. Not to be grim, but that's reality. So a lack of belief might be real. You can rationalize that and convince yourself. You can't trick yourself because you'll know the lie, but you can convince yourself that that's just a false way of looking. You can do the research, calories in versus calories out for the obesity thing. It's real, it works. You eat less calories than you burn, you're going to lose fat. For work, you can look at other people. So I've got friends who are no different in potential than me who've achieved very good things. So I'm lucky. I can see that because they have done these very impressive things, that I can do these very impressive things. So there's no reason for me not to do the work. And there's no reason for me not to believe in myself. It's stupid if you think about it. And there's no reason for you not to believe in yourself. Look at real world examples in your own life. The guy who's achieved a lot of great things is no different than you. He's simply done the things. He's got rid of this procrastination habit. It's not a gene. It's not an innate way of doing things. It's a habit. Second, just because you don't believe in yourself, that's not an excuse not to do the work. The work should be done whether you believe in yourself or not. You know that this thing has to be done, so you do it. So identify the lack of belief as a root cause in you not doing the thing, and then do it anyway. It sounds insanely simplistic, and we don't believe in ourselves, so we don't do the thing because we don't think that it will actually get us what we want. Okay, do the thing anyway. If you can get in that habit, and we'll talk about how in a bit, that will eventually lead to self-belief, because over time you'll have all these stacked tasks, these stacked actions. The evidence that you're looking for that you can accomplish something will be looking at you in the mirror. So just give it time, do the work. The second/third things are a lack of belief in the tasks. So whatever you're trying to achieve, it demands strategy. You have to think about what you're doing, why you're doing it, and what the best thing to do is. With diets, you have to read books, figure out what you think is the best. What diet gives you the greatest argument, the greatest proof, and then follow that diet. For work, look at people who have done the things that you were trying to do and map out how they did it and follow a similar path. Do similar things with your own twist on it, with your own interests embedded and woven into those actions. So when you're trying to achieve something, you have to spend time on strategy. But once you create that strategy, you have to do the work. Whether you believe you can do it, whether you believe in the task, whether you believe it's the right thing to do the work. Sometimes you're going to do a lot of work and it's going to not create the outcome you want. But then you learn that that's not the path and you have to start over and start something new. In building my business, I have learned a lot about what not to do, which has left me some little tidbits of what to do. So I'm trying to work on doing those things. Those lack of belief in the task, lack of belief in yourself, while they may be reasons for procrastination, you look at the research behind procrastination, lack of self-belief. The next one we're going to cover is the most important. While they may create procrastination, they're not a viable excuse to procrastinate, which is what we come to next: impulse control. The number one reason why you procrastinate is because you have impulse control. Now, if you've ever read The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield, he looks at it like the thing that you know you have to do most, the thing that means the most to you, the hardest, most difficult task, usually has the most resistance. But that shouldn't be a deterrent of doing that task. Let's say I know I have to do a video. I know that video is a great way to build a brand, to add value to all these things, but I have the most resistance for this thing. That should be an identifier for that thing to be the most important thing I should do. Resistance to a task should not be a reason to avoid it. It should be a compass guiding you towards that task. Yale researchers looked at what successful people have in common, what attributes they have. What they found was they had a superiority complex, meaning they thought they deserved whatever they were trying to get. They had insecurity, meaning deep down they kind of didn't think they were worthy of it, so that made them do the work. It didn't give them a reason not to do the work. But third, and most importantly, I believe, is impulse control. First of all, you do the work. You don't get blindsided by different ideas, tasks, searching on your phone, whatever. You don't get distracted. You do the work, and when you do the work, you only do the work. This is the most important factor in procrastination. You'll see a lot of videos out there talking about, giving valid reasons for procrastination. You look at the research, this is why you procrastinate. It's a mental issue, it's an emotional issue, blah, 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 blah. The reality is you lack impulse control. I lack impulse control. I have to work on my impulse control, meaning I don't switch or deviate from what I'm doing because of these various impulses. So how do you fix your impulse control? The simplest thing that I've discovered is have fewer impulses, or have fewer things that would lead to impulses around you. If you're grocery shopping, never go grocery shopping hungry, obviously. It's a silly way to do it, but don't bring things into your house that you don't want to eat. Don't have that temptation in your house. For work, don't have your phone. My phone's in another room. Don't have anything that can distract you from the thing that you're doing. Second, I set a timer. So if I'm going to write, I set a timer and I write for that 30 minutes, for that 60 minutes, whatever. I do that single task. If I'm working on something in the business, I do that single task for that period, and when that alarm goes off, I get up and move around. So far in your life, you have likely trained horrible impulse control. You've likely trained yourself to be distracted. I say this is the most important part of procrastination because it is the one we can train back into ourselves. If you've trained yourself to lack impulse control, you can train yourself to have impulse control. All you do is you train yourself to focus. You clearly define what you have to do. You do those things in blocks that are scheduled simply to do that thing, nothing else, and you do that thing. Again, success, achievement, everything. It's simply making the right decisions over a long enough period of time that will create the result. It's simply doing things over a long enough period of time that will get the result. Question is what to do. You decide what to do, and then you do that thing. You don't decide what to do and then question as to whether you ought to do that thing or not. Once the decision is made, the thing is done. If you can get into this habit, you will remove procrastination from your life completely. You will get more work done. You will fail more often, which will show you how to succeed more often. And you will end up with the success that you crave in some form or another. The winners of the world simply do the things that they set out to do. That's it. They get rid of this procrastination that is increasingly a part of our society because we have more things to be distracted by, but that doesn't give a viable reason to be distracted. So while we can go through a bunch of reasons why we are procrastinating, why we lack impulse control, why this, why that, the reality is you decide what to do and you do it, and you only do that that thing. That is it. And if you can train this back into yourself, you will win in life. Now, let's get into some assets that you can study and read that will help you completely get rid of this procrastination. There's 4 books that I highly recommend you read. 2 are in this library to my left, the bookshelf. 2 are right here. I'll go through the 2 here. I can't find them right now. The first is Deep Work by Cal Newport. It's one of the best books you could possibly read on doing good work. You need to read that book. It's incredible. 2 is The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. It'll help you understand this resistance you have for these tasks that you have laid out in front of you. And it'll help you win that battle, The War of Art. Next is The One Thing by Gary Keller. Again, it'll help you determine what to do and to do only that thing. And finally, Essentialism by Greg McKeown. Again, help you define what is important, what is essential, and help you focus only on the essential. Those 4 books are great assets that will help you get rid of the procrastination. And while we talked about why we're procrastinated, the why matters, but it still isn't an excuse to prevent you from doing the thing. So apply those things in the video, get after it, take care.